Babble with Ben.
Okay, welcome to the podcast, Maddi.M. How you going?
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
It's been a hot minute since I've seen you. What have you been up to?
Oh my God, everything and everything. Oh, anything and everything? That's
Yeah.
the saying.
Cleaning your room, I noticed.
Oh. It's clean at the moment. It's usually clean. But yes, I like to share too much of myself on the internet, apparently.
That was great, though, actually. Like, it was really revealing the way that you were talking about the way that you'd been struggling and how the room was sort of a symptom of that, but also a therapy as well. Like,
Yeah.
how are you feeling now? Like, are you...
I'm feeling a lot better. That video was actually filmed quite a bit earlier than when I posted it. It took me a long time to get that video out, mostly because I wanted to do a voiceover, and it was, when I filmed it at the time, it was really fresh. Yeah. I was just like, I'm not going to get through this without crying. And it's either, it's going to sound really bad. I mean, even in the audio that I did put in there, you can sort of hear it in my voice. I'm trying to hold it back. Yeah. But at least I got through it. But yeah, it took me a really long time to get out. So I'm better now. I'm sure that therapy's still needed. Yeah. But no, just a lot of things happened early this year, and you sort of look back on the last 2 years and you go, oh, it can't get worse.
Yeah.
Proves
That's
you're wrong.
a funny thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah. But no, there's still plenty of wonderful things still happening, and I just sort of put that video out there as a way to make people not feel alone, because I believe that's one of my purposes in life, is sharing my stories, and then people can go, oh shit, like I thought I was the only one who felt that way.
It was super compelling. Like I found, out of all your videos, I mean, there's certainly the fun ones, like that one with you and Brad in the tiny house. That's a fun one. But there was something just raw and really emotional about that video, and it would have taken a great deal of courage to share that. And I personally really appreciate it. I think that was great. Yeah,
it's weird because when it comes to my YouTube videos, I don't think about it at all. Like, people always ask me, oh, it must, like, I could never do that. It would be so annoying to like hear myself talk and watch myself for so many hours. But I'm actually really good at sort of detaching myself from that. Like, when I'm editing, I don't think I'm editing myself. I just think I'm editing a video, which I think helps when I'm putting out something so vulnerable, because I just go, oh yeah, there's another video done.
Yeah, absolutely. How have you found the reaction to it? Have people sort of, I saw that there's a few comments on there, like, what are you finding people are sort of appreciating that level of openness?
Yeah, I mean, I always seem to get some really good feedback when I open up. I mean, I'm always surprised, but then I sort of remind myself, oh wait, no, people are like this. But I had a lot of people reaching out, checking if I was okay, which was lovely. But yeah, no, I have had a lot of really good feedback of being like, oh, I needed that, or, you know, and I get that from videos myself, which is why I love creating content like that, because I see, you know, other content from other creators that I resonate with, and I go, you know, that's how I'm feeling. That's going to really help me with how life is going right now. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. What have you got in the pipeline? Because I think it's the one with Brad, your boyfriend, of course, for the viewers at home. Yes, Bradley.
And the tiny house. Is that the most recent one? Or have you put one out since then? Yeah, that's the most recent one. I've got another one that's filmed. I'm just trying to catch up. I've been so busy with real life stuff, my actual jobs that pay me. But no, I'm getting through it. It's so hard to juggle so many different social media platforms. Yeah. Like, it's not just YouTube, which is my primary one. Like, that's the one that I'm in it for. But to sort of help that get there, I have to also have Instagram. I've recently gotten TikTok. I was going to ask, I still don't like TikTok. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I've got some videos coming, and I've always got so many ideas. It's just finding the time. The editing is what takes the longest. What do you use for editing? Do you use Final Cut or iMovie or Premiere? Or yeah, I use Premiere Pro. I know a lot of people use Final Cut, but I learnt Premiere because I did it in high school. We had like the whole Adobe thing for free at high school, and that's how I started video editing. Was year 12. My last project in art was videography. So I just learned all the basics from there, and then when I
got up YouTube, I was like, oh, well, I just didn't even think about it. I'm like, oh, I know this program, and just kept using that.
Sweet. And you find that's the best for your workflow, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm that far deep into sort of like learning how certain things are done that I've been meaning to try out Final Cut because I know a lot of people use it and they like it and it's more simple. I know that Premiere Pro is more mainstream, but I just can't be bothered learning another software. Like, I probably should, but we'll get there. We've got a lot of other things to do first.
I've had the opposite journey because I did start off using iMovie and Final Cut, and my partner Wesley, he's a visual artist, and so he's got Premiere as part of his Adobe Creative Cloud subscription. And I tell you what, like it's a bit like, I don't know if you ever used Pro Tools when you were doing music stuff. If you know it, it is super quick to do it, but there is a real steep learning curve. And
that is like anything in life. People are like, oh, it's so easy once you know it. I'm like, duh.
Absolutely. What do you shoot on? You're not using an iPhone for your content. You're using something.
No, I've got my Canon camera, which is technically not mine.
The best.
I don't think I've mentioned it. Maybe I have. It's probably like sort of put in there in one of my videos, but it's actually my high school's camera, which don't know. Well, I mean, I have spoken about other things that I've maybe swiped from my high school, but no, I actually was going on a trip with my school and I asked my art teacher if I could take one of their cameras because I was going to take photos and maybe use it for one of my art projects. And and this is a wonderful teacher. He's my absolute favorite teacher I've ever had. But he is a bit disorganized and his office reflects that. And I remember that when I borrowed it, he wrote my name and the camera on a piece of paper and put it on his desk. Mind you, there's a mountain of things on his desk. And I look at that piece of paper and I think to myself, he's never going to find that again.
Just scored a camera.
Yep. And then I just never go back and he never asked for it. So I was like, I guess this is mine now.
What's his name? Do you want to give him a shout out or not?
I probably shouldn't.
No, it's between you and me now. Yeah. And the audience. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's going to get to someone and then no doubt my high school's going to reach out to me and be like, yo, can we have our camera back? And I'll be like, oh, I never saw that message.
So which of the platforms do you find, so you would consider YouTube to be your main platform, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool. And sort of Instagram and TikTok are feeding into that now?
Yeah, I've definitely got better at Instagram at the start. Like if you scroll way back, it was literally just photos of me and my friends because I used to hate being in front of the camera, like photo-wise, which is weird because I was fine being in front of the camera for video, but never photos. And I've slowly gotten more comfortable with that. I sort of forced myself to get more comfortable with that because obviously in the influencer world, there's like, there's a certain way you do things. But yeah, I sort of forced myself to get better with that so that I could promote my YouTube. Yeah. So I wouldn't say YouTube and Instagram's on the same level of importance for me personally, but yeah, Instagram's definitely up there now. And I've been really enjoying creating content for that. Whereas TikTok, it's still new. And I don't think my For You page is quite curated to me yet. So I'm still like very much in love with the Insta Reels, but I have Brad's 15-year-old sister telling me that I'm behind the time. She was one of the people who was like, you keep sending me Instagram Reels that were TikToks like 4 months ago.
Oh, brutal. Well, tell her you saw it on Reddit 6 months ago, hey?
Oh, my God. Actually, I like Reddit. Reddit's like a deep, dark hole of really like interesting things. I love those ones where, have you heard about, it's people write in and they ask, am I an asshole?
Oh.
Have you seen those?
Oh, yes, I love those because it's usually very obvious whether they're an asshole or not.
Yeah. Well, sometimes there's tricky ones, but it's just so interesting to hear people's stories. But I would love to write into one of those and see if I'm an asshole. But then again, I probably think I'm always right. So
I think I'm just trying to think of my favourite ones. Definitely what is it? AIMA? Yeah, that's one. And then there's the AMAs, the Ask Me Anything, because you get some pretty big people on that. Oh, really?
And dank memes too. Like sometimes the dank memes are just...
What's dank memes?
Dank memes? It's basically what stoned 19-year-olds think is extremely funny, and the stoned 19-year-old in me goes, oh yeah, I can see the point of that.
Oh, that's so good.
It's full of SpongeBob memes, but like...
Yeah.
But like X-rated SpongeBob memes, and it's a real rabbit hole. Do you post on Reddit? Do you find you sort of contribute to it, or you're more of a lurker?
Oh no, I'm definitely not in the Reddit world, but there are certain things that make me go to Reddit. Like if you're trying to find something that's not really supposed to be on the internet, like if there's drama about someone that's been deleted, I'm like, Reddit will have it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been one or I think very recently there was a plane crash in China, and there was a footage of the actual plane crash, and you wouldn't see that. And same with Ukraine too. You'll see footage on Reddit that you just wouldn't see on the ABC or Channel 9. And so it's a bit of it's that car crash sort of phenomenon, isn't it? Where it's like, okay, I know I shouldn't be looking over here and slowing down, but somehow I am already. And
it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I couldn't go down that rabbit hole of Reddit. Like I personally avoid the news. Like I'll see things on Instagram, that's totally fine. Instagram, I know it's bad, but Instagram's my form of news. And same with like word of mouth. Like people say what's going on in the world, and I'll be like, oh, no way. But for me personally, and for my mental health, I choose not to follow the news just because there's so much bad shit happening. And it's so hard to focus on the good shit when you're constantly... Oh, am I allowed to swear on this podcast, by the way?
Of course you fucking are, darling.
Fuck
yeah, of course.
Yes.
Hi, Mum.
Oh, my God. Oh, my mum knows, I swear. I don't hold back anymore. But yeah, no, I just find... it affects me so greatly. I never used to be an empathetic person, and I love that about myself. I was like, I can be sympathetic, but I could never feel what someone else was feeling, and I love that because I was like, I'm detached, like I'm not holding other people's problems, and I don't know what's switched, but lately I'm like extremely empathetic.
Yeah.
This is where you see why I'm on YouTube and not podcast, because I can edit that out. But yeah, news is...
I've been the same, actually. It used to be that I would always, let's say 2019, before the bushfires, I would sit down with my dinner in front of the Channel 7 news at 7 p.m. Not Channel 7, ABC. I was going to say Channel 2, that's how old I am. But it's the ABC, sit down in front of the ABC News at 7 p.m. and I'd just sit there and watch the whole thing. I'd be like, oh yeah, that happened in, 16,000 kilometres away, and then here's the weather, and it was, it was all over and done with. But I think maybe during the lockdown, I think was the big trigger for me, because it would be like, okay, it's just a solid doom and gloom worldwide for 30 minutes. And I just started tapping out. I'd be like, okay, I've watched the headlines, this many people died. I don't feel like it's doing me any good to watch this any further. And so I'd go and do much the same as you. I'd go to the other room, and I'd sit and look at funny cat videos on Reddit or Insta or something. And I thought, I think it was just, it was my way of coping, because I think it's no secret that, I think a lot of people struggled during the lockdown, and I was one of them, definitely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, same. Yeah, no, it's funny because now that the world's sort of back to where it was, it's really hectic because everyone's trying to catch up in the last 2 years. And I find myself saying like, oh God, I wish we could go into another lockdown. I need a break. But then I'm sort of like, I think I must have sort of buried that time deep down. And I no longer remember what lockdown was like, because a part of me, the last lockdown wasn't too bad because I feel like everyone was breaking some rules. But I sort of just go, oh, yeah, it wasn't too bad. But then I think back to the start and I'm like, oh, I was crying every day. Like, yeah, it wasn't actually as good as I remember. So I don't know what's happened there. But no, life's been crazy at the moment. I don't remember it being this hectic.
It's funny, isn't it? Because everyone's expecting the same sort of work output and the same sort of busy schedule, but it's not quite the same. I mean, I'm
I'm still sort of feeling a little bit fatigued from COVID, and today has been, my first full day since coming back from 7 days ISO. And I got to about 3 o'clock today and I'm like, wow, I've been, 3 different places. I've been at work, I've been at a singing lesson, now I've been here doing a podcast, and it's just like, whoa, was I always this tired, or is this just a new thing? And so it's like, yeah, everything's normal again, but it's kind of not as well. Like it's super. I really am struggling to adjust with it. I think it must be a bit like what it feels like after a war or something.
It's literally just gone from one extreme to another, and we're just. There was no easing back into it. Like, yeah, we still had some restrictions coming out, but I feel like once we got a certain amount of freedom, we must do everything that we missed out on, and we must see everyone. And it was just, I think we all put too much pressure on ourselves to just jump straight back into it, as exciting as it was, but it's just may not have been the best way to go about it.
Well, yeah. I'm just going to take one moment just to thank my sponsor as well. Sorry to interrupt. I'm just going to thank Rob Healy, a.k.a. Ghost Soul. He does all my mixing and mastering. Very good for, any sort of music you've got. Check him out on Instagram, GHOSTSOUL. That's it, no E, except on Friday nights. And so, so I think, especially for people of your age too, right? I think that there's definitely a lot of time to be made up, because I know when I was, in my early 20s, right? It was a matter of going out and sort of testing your limits when it comes to partying and that sort of stuff. Whereas you guys, it's kind of like, maybe you turned 20, 21, and all the things like, for example, festivals. I think a lot of people your age would be going to a festival for the first time now, maybe a little bit older than perhaps other people would have, or?
Yeah, I'm not a festival kind of person. Yeah. I've been to one festival. It was like a one-dayer, but it was like pouring rain, and like we went there for Charlie
McCosh,
we went for Charlie McCosh. It was she was not headlining. She was support there. So we really just went for her, which was amazing. She was honestly like the best there.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to see her there. But yeah, everyone else that day just wasn't really keen on singing, and I think it just gave me a bad taste for festivals. But I love concerts. Concerts like put me in the mosh, like give me that kind of experience, but don't make it a whole day thing. Like,
yeah.
I want to be, in and out. I don't want to be there for hours sitting on the ground, it potentially raining or being boiling hot, spending all this money on food. I'm a cheap ass. So, having to buy every single meal in like $5 waters is just, it's not my thing.
The $5 waters, yeah, that is definitely something that grates on me.
Yeah.
And look, I totally get the whole day festival thing too, because you're back in your nice comfy bed at the end of it, and I definitely am a festival person. Like I love getting the swag out and just sleeping, sort of stumbling into bed at 3 a.m. and waking up the next morning to do it all again. Definitely, but I think. How did you, because you've sort of missed out on 2 years of concerts as well. I mean, there's been no international acts for however long. I mean, what was the most, apart from Charlie's gig, have you seen any other concerts recently?
Not recently. Before we went into lockdown, I think it was like the month before we went into lockdown. No. Yeah, it was supposed to be the month after we went into lockdown. I had a Rex Orange County concert. And I've never seen him live before. I freaking love him. He saves me. But I was devastated that I didn't get to see him. I had also bought a ticket for a friend for her birthday. And when he announced tickets this year, I was like, yeah, I'm totally keen. Was on there, like on the dot, was in the queue. It sold out in like a minute.
Oh, man.
So I'm hoping he puts out more dates. But this year, I don't think I've seen any concerts yet, but there are definitely people who I'm like, the second they come, I want to see them. But honestly, I'm keen to see anyone. Like, it doesn't have to be anyone huge. I just want to be out and back with live music. Like, I've been seeing a bunch of uni people's gigs and going to Brad's gigs. So still sort of with that, just no one's really got many concerts going on. Like, I feel like I used to go to a concert like every other month, but no one's coming over here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess that's kind of good for people like Bradley because, you know, if he has he got any gigs coming up?
I don't think he does, but he's got a couple of bands who are like preparing stuff. He recently had one. But no, I think it's just getting things ready for another gig and sort of writing some new music and all that kind of stuff.
I guess with the lack of touring artists, it is a bit of a bonanza for domestic artists, really, because, you know, well, those venues need to have people through them. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, as much as it's been a struggle for musicians during this time, not having those bigger artists sort of take up as much space, I think it's definitely a good opportunity for new artists to come out and sort of make themselves known and go do gigs because people want to go out and, you know, places want to be booked. So I think this is a really good time for those artists.
There's a hunger for it now, isn't there? You just see people. Yeah, I definitely have been going out more than perhaps I would have even in 2019 now, just because I know more people now. And yeah, there is that sense of making up for lost time too. It's like, oh man, like I remember, you know, like, for example, you know, mid 2020 where it's like, okay, what am I going to do tonight? I'm going to get stoned and play video games like I have for the last 6 months. It's like, yeah, no more of that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wish I was going out more. I feel like I'm squeezing it in every once in a while, but I'm just too busy with work. And sometimes I look back and I go, why am I working so much?
What is your day hustle at the moment?
Oh man, it's well, I just came. I rushed here from my property styling job.
Yep.
So
property styling.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's technically 3 or 4 jobs now. I'm doing my property styling, which is, you know, setting up houses to be sold and like for see-throughs and photos and all that kind of stuff. Got good old boost juice, which I'm trying to get away from. Had a bit of a break for a bit and then just like covering shifts here and there when I want a little extra cash. Not that I'm really spending anything. I don't know where it's going. I'm literally just hoarding it at this point. I'm just like so scared of where it's going to go and what's going to happen with it. And then I've got a wedding reception where I do like waitressing and bartending and all those sorts of jobs. And I've recently, I don't know if you call it promoted, but I'm working the office now and like selling weddings and all that and other events and all that kind of stuff. So I guess you'd call that my 4th job, but it's still within my 3rd job. So
do you have a favourite? I don't think it's boost juice.
No. I love the people there. It's the customers. Oh my God. I'm gonna expose myself. I work at Chadstone.
Yep.
And the rich people that come through there who just think that they are the most entitled out of everyone. It's sometimes not even the rich people. Like just everyone who comes through that shopping centre just thinks that it is the be-all, end-all. Like, the amount of... we could do an entire podcast on the interactions I've had at Boost Juice. Yeah. Where, like, there's just people who are impatient and, you know, I remember one time, I think it must have been after New Year's, so I was dead. Like, I was so tired. And it was the morning shift as well. Yeah. And I remember serving this lady and I gave her drink and then she turns to me and she goes, "What was that look for?" And I'm just standing there stunned. Like, I don't know what to say because I'm like, what's happening right now? Because I'm so out of it. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, what? And she's like, why are you looking at me like that? Like, you're death glaring at me. What's your problem? And I'm like stuttering, going, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to give you a look. And then one of the girls who I was working with comes over and is like, oh, you know, like, here's a drink, and sort of like shoos her away nicely. And she's like, oh, just make sure you watch yourself. And I'm like, fucking watch myself doing what? Like, looking at a person? It was just, I can't remember if it was that instant, but there's been so many times where I've gone to the back of the store and just cried. Because I'm like,
really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And like, I'm a pretty tough person, but just the way that you get spoken to there is just beyond unacceptable. And you just have to deal with it because the world just has this idea that, oh, the customer's always right. I'm like, no, the customer is not always right. If anything, you're always wrong. Like, yeah, it's just no wonder no one wants to work in hospitality anymore. It's because they get treated like absolute shit. But we're stuck in it.
It sounds like you're getting the Chadston Karens.
Oh, yes. And then there's other people who like rock up on something. Like we're across from the Maccas as well.
Yep.
So, you know, that attracts a certain type of person. And I've seen people like jump on the Macca's counter and like scream and then run away. And,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
I had another
what about
guy
Szechuan
who,
sauce?
I've had another guy who came up to us and like just reached over the counter to get a cup. And I like instinctly just grabbed it and I was like, oh shit. I was like, hi, can I help you? And he was like, do you know what sushi is? And I was like, yeah, mate, it's down there. And he's like, I really want some sushi. Do you know what sushi is? I'm like, yeah, mate, it's down there.
Not a boost.
Yeah. And then I can't remember, he was saying something else and yeah, he was just giving me bad vibes. I was like, just watch what you say around this guy. But yeah, just interesting interactions.
Working in the food court, hey?
Oh, the food court.
General public, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's so funny. If any of the people who I work with, they'll know what I'm talking about. For some reason, 10 minutes before you close, that's when you're the busiest. And then once you're closed, all the lights are off. We're packing up things. The blenders are gone. Like we're cleaning the floors in the dark. And people come up and go, are you still open? And we're like, oh, sorry, no, we're not. And they're like, can you just make one more? And we're literally going, there's not even a blender here anymore. And you want us to make you a drink.
And we've counted the till.
Yeah.
No
it's
chance.
Just, yeah. It pretty much Boost Juice is just a big old laugh and frustration. So, no, that's definitely, long story short, that is not my favourite job.
Could you just for the folks at home though, have you got any like hot sort of custom Boost combinations that you'd recommend? Because, for example, I love the raspberry ripe chocolate, but it's not on the menu anymore. And I'm like,
yeah, it is.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think, I'm pretty sure not everything that's actually available is on the main menu at the front. Like we've got a whole list of like old stuff that people still ask for that's just, we don't advertise. But in terms of drinks, I mean, I'm a health nut. So I make my own drinks and don't go off any of the recipes because it's not as healthy as
Tell me more.
Well, I don't care if I get fired, but I don't want to get sued. So I probably shouldn't say too much.
Oh yeah, but tell me like what would be if someone was at Boost Juice, right? And you know they were being polite and they were approaching you, you know, nicely, right? What would if someone said, okay, give me your best Boost Juice recipe and surprise me? What would you give them?
Oh, I mean, I think it's called the Pure Eden. It's probably like the cleanest, healthiest out of all of them. And it's nice and fresh. I like that one. I don't like any of the ones with the yogurts. It's too heavy. It always makes me feel sick. And it's like really high in sugar.
Yeah.
But that's my recommendation. But some people like the sickening sweet stuff that tastes like ice cream. So in that sense, you'd go with, I don't know, everyone loves a Mango Magic. That's what they're known for.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a step up from a McDonald's thick shake, across the road.
Yeah, but it's bloody expensive these days.
Yeah.
It's like $8 for a drink. Mind you, it's like a full-on meal with like how much you're drinking in terms of calorie-wise, but
you could probably pay $6 for a coffee in Chatty too, though, couldn't you?
Yeah, well, that's a coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee's like, oh, it's a whole different thing. It's like when I'm looking at buying something I don't need, like let's say, you know, an $80 shirt, I go, how many coffees can I buy with that? And then I sort of go, I'd rather have the coffees. I love my coffee. I had my third one before I came today.
Did you?
I thought about bringing another one with me. I'm like, no, that'll be overdoing it.
Is 3 a lot for today or is 3 about standard?
2 to 3 a day. I used to work at a cafe and my average per day used to be 5.
Wow.
When I was 17. And that is not a good amount of caffeine for any age, let alone 17. But I come from a big coffee, like, drinking family. Like, Dad will have Probably 8 a day. He'll have one just before bed and then go to sleep.
I have a friend like that too. It says it helps him sleep, and I'm just like...
That is a crock of shit.
I think at that level, it must be a bit like, you know how smokers will always have a cigarette before they go to bed, right? And I think it's just to relieve the cravings. I think at a certain...
Yeah.
For example, if you don't have a coffee by, let's say, 11 o'clock, do you start getting the headaches?
Oh, yeah. I definitely do. Yeah, it's definitely a form of addiction. Like, everyone knows that. But, yeah, no, I never thought of it that way, that they're having it before bed because it's, like, feeding their craving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I certainly couldn't do it. If I have a coffee after midday, that's an automatic up till midnight for me, like 100%.
Yeah, but that would mean that you're not addicted.
Yeah.
And it's not like a coping mechanism. That's not the right word. But, yeah, like... I reckon I could have a coffee and then go to bed, but I just don't think caffeine would affect me the same way that it would affect other people who don't regularly have coffee. So I feel like that's where it sort of fits in.
It is very pleasurable though. Like I definitely, if it gets to about, if it gets to 10 o'clock and I haven't had a coffee, I'm definitely like, okay, time for coffee. Do you find that you picked up a drinking habit when during lockdown? Do you drink?
It's actually funny. My drinking went down through lockdown. So
really?
It was actually uni that was not helping my drinking. So, like, I've sort of always been of a party. I started drinking at 14. And, like, I love to sneaky drink and, sneak around my parents and go on to parties and underage drinking. That was, like, my thing. I loved it. And then once I got to uni... we were having parties every week or going to a gig. Like there was something on where we were drinking. So my tolerance went up and I was getting to around like standard 8 drinks for a night would be my level. And once it hit quarantine, I was like, oh, there's no reason to drink. Like I don't drink unless I'm getting drunk, which is kind of good, kind of bad. Don't really know. Would rather not know. And it's actually funny. My dad made a bet with me in lockdown. He was like, I'll give you $200 if you can go 3 months without drinking. And in my head, I'm going, I don't drink unless I'm at a party. I don't drink by myself or with one other person. Easy. I'm pretty sure I didn't drink for 8 months.
Wow. Yeah.
Like not a single drop of alcohol. And now my tolerance is so low and I love it because obviously it's like a cheap night out. I'll have 2 drinks and I'm set for the night.
Yeah.
I'm like... If I got anything good out of lockdown, it's that. It's like, I'm a cheap night out now, which is amazing.
I found the same thing too because there was definitely, look at the start, when I didn't have to be anywhere the next morning and, if I rolled out of bed and got onto Zoom in my pajamas, right, like that was, mission achieved. It really wouldn't take much for me to like down a 6-pack while I was making a meal, right? And then, you'd wake up the next day and do it again. And I found that it definitely was affecting my mood. And so I had to consciously get off it, you know what I mean? I had to be just like, oh, no, I can't. And I found it was funny because during either the first or the first big lockdown ended, when we get back to COVID 0, right? I would start going out with friends and drinking again, and I would be just like you. I'd be like, whoa, my tolerance is totally gone. This is awesome, but also dangerous because what I used to drink will now, get me on the tiles, quite literally.
I learnt the hard way that my tolerance had gone down. I think, I can't remember. No, it wasn't New Year's. It was just some other birthday party, and I drank how I'd drunk before quarantine. Ooh, I was not good that night. There was definitely some vomiting and definitely some blacking out. And they're good stories, but you feel like absolute shit.
Oh, yeah. I was at a friend's party in Tokemwal up on the Murray River, right? And, it was a matter of getting back into a proper party out of town. And I made the mistake of starting on beer and then I shifted to champagne. And, rookie mistake. And I was just like, why did I do that?
I can feel that pain.
I ended up, because I was camping, right? But I'd parked my car in front of the pub and I literally crawled out of the pub, put my swag out on the nature strip in front of the pub and just passed out. And some friends actually had to say, Ben, you've got to get up and move somewhere else. Otherwise they'll arrest you. And I was like, thank you for doing that because, it was not a good look. But it was a great party and I had a lot of fun. It was a friend's 40th party. It was a great weekend because we ended up, boating up and down the Murray as well. And so, and again, it's those war stories which are kind of fun to tell, you know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, I still tell people about the Deb after party that was in 2017. I still talk about that. I'm like, people probably heard it 1,000 times, but I'm like, whenever someone's telling me their blackout story, I'm like, oh, nothing could be as bad as, me waking up in a bedroom I didn't know and like, makeup still on, like falsy eyelashes still like hanging off and hair in a mess and, putting on my shoes the next day and going, why the fuck are they wet? And having like that full on That's So Raven moment where I'm like shooting back in time going, I put my feet in the pool. I'm like, that happened. And you're just like so wrecked that you're just like, I don't care.
The worst is when you wake up, let's say maybe like 4 o'clock and you're in that unfamiliar room and it's pitch black and it's just like, I need to go to the toilet, but I have no idea where the toilet is.
Oh, yeah.
And then you wake up and you sort of go, this is all right. I don't feel that hungover. Then the hours progress along and you have a drink of water and it's like, wait a second, I haven't actually processed all the alcohol in my stomach yet and now I'm feeling a little dusty. So.
Yeah. And I feel like weird stuff happens when you're hungover. Like people are weird and then like you're in weird situations and it's just, and you're just so hungover that you just don't, you can't even process what's happening and you're like, I feel uncomfortable and it's weird. But I don't know how to get out of it. So you just stay there.
It's like cornered animals just going, has someone got Uber?
Yeah. You're like, I need to go home, but I have no way of getting home.
And I certainly shouldn't be driving.
Oh, yeah. God, no. I would never. Like that is, it's funny because no matter how drunk I am, I never make stupid decisions like that.
That's a good skill.
Yeah. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I become a ninja when I'm drunk and I will jump off anything. But in terms of like getting in a car, and driving, that's never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
I have gotten in a car with a stranger. Not like just me and him. It was the boyfriend of one of the girls I went to school with. That wasn't a great decision. But then again, like I wasn't able to walk. It was... Yeah, we were like driving along and he was actually very nice. He was like constantly checking on me going, like, let me know if you need a puke. And I was like, yeah, no, I'll be fine. And then like not even a minute goes by and I go, yeah, can you pull over?
It's like, is that a roundabout? If that's a roundabout, we are going to need to stop.
Yeah. I was like, just shut the door. Yeah, okay, we're good to go now.
Is that a bush? Yeah, I'm going to hit up that bush just before the roundabout.
You haven't done it hard until you puke out the back of your own car. I've done that. After my own party.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, we'll go on Baker's Delight because we needed something to eat. And I was like, I can't drive. And my friends were like, yeah, we know. And I'm sitting in the back. Actually, James Hood was with me. It was one of my mates, James Hood in the middle and me on the side. It was funny. No one saw this except for him. And you know what he's like. He'll fucking piss himself at anything and just stay to himself. So he sees me roll down the window, puke, roll window back up and sitting there. And he's just pissing himself laughing. And everyone's going, what's happened? And he can't even tell the story because he's just laughing so hard. I'm like, it's fine, don't worry about it.
Was the car moving or had it stopped when you
we're on a main road.
So it's like just trailing.
Like, I'll clean it later. Like the people driving towards us was like, what the fuck is happening? That's all part of the fun.
It is. Well, look, I think it's been really, really great having you on. Thanks so much for dropping in. It's been a blast.
Oh, it's been so much fun. I've been meaning to tell you, and like I even knew this before I listened to the first episode. I was like, Ben, he's got a good voice for podcasts.
Why, thank you.
And you do, and I like it's so cool what you're doing, and I'm really excited to see where it goes, and I'm really excited to be invited back.
Oh, absolutely. And hey, look, anytime you need a special guest star, like we'll go op shopping, anything you like.
Oh, yeah.
Totally
Yeah, you want to come on my YouTube?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do that.
Cool. All right.
All right. I don't want to knock the mic.
Cool. Thanks again. Have a good one.
No problem. Yay.